What can I say? I love this 1976 Chevy Chevette casting. You know, between the Chevette and the AMC Gremlin and I don't know, I guess a Chevy Vega, they're just little cars that you want to put way too big of an engine in and have fun. So when I came across this casting, I had to do something with it. I just love the style of this little car, or the lack of style, maybe. I think the Gremlin actually has more style to it, but this thing's great. They've got this thing all pumped up, and the racing interior, and I had to have fun with it. So I stripped it, drilled it, tapped it, threw it in the citrus strip after I got it apart. Metal body, plastic base, plastic interior, plastic glass. Once it was stripped and drilled and tapped, I had to figure out what I was going to do with it. Obviously, I wanted to change the livery. I went through a lot of decal sets that I have, and for this one, I landed on a set that I have by Second Chance Red Lines, but those will show up later, and actually some other decals that I bought off eBay and other things I decided to make work and regret getting decals off of eBay. But this thing has two nice size posts in it, so it was easy to drill out for the 256 screws. And it's a very simple little casting. There's not a lot to it. This was a brand new casting, as opposed to a lot of the beat to hell ones I start off with. So this didn't take a lot of getting ready. I did go over, I went over it lightly with the file. You didn't even show that on camera. It was so lightly. Went over it with the Scotch-Brite wheel on the Dremel tool. Again, lightly cleaning it up, but it's a brand new casting. It's in great shape. What more could you ask for? Went over it with IPA, as you see here, just to get any grease off of it, just to get it ready for paint. And laid down a base coat of the Citadel White Scar. And then for the color, I went to the Testors Model Master Auto Lacquer. Yeah, Plymouth, Plum Crazy Metallic. That kind of also decided what direction the decals were going to go. I found the decals first, to be honest, and then I thought I had this paint. And I knew I wanted it to be a dark color. So there you see it after I got the Plum Crazy on it and a clear coat over that, because that lacquer spray is a flat lacquer. It's a two-part system. I don't even think they make it anymore. I've got a bunch of cans that I bought on closeout a while ago at Hobby Lobby. Now the decals, as you see up there, Plum Fizz, if I remember right, those are gasser decals. They are from Second Chance Red Lines. And then I went through other little decal sets that I've picked up over the years, and I pulled these headlights off of one set that I got off eBay. Got the tail lights off another set that I got off eBay. And they're horrible decals. Those decals just fought me as far as coming off the decal paper. The Chevy Chevette did have round headlights set in a square bezel. And so I do have the round headlights on this, as you saw me putting the decals on. The taillights, man, these were even worse than the headlight decals. And all I can figure is the seller, I know I got them off eBay. I've had them for a little while, and all I can figure is they must have had a heck of a heavy coat of clear over them. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer laser printed decals, is because they just aren't as heavy and they seem to come off the decal paper easier. These things soaked and soaked and soaked, and it's hard to describe how I had to peel them off the decal paper. And that was for the headlights and the taillights. As far as the other decals on this, they're all from the Second Chance Plum Fizz set. And those all came off easily. It was just a joy to use them. I mean, after doing those other decals, it made me really swear by sticking to second chance. I've mentioned that I use decals from Chiquita Toys on Whatnot. Those go on exceptionally well and are easy to use. I print my own when I need to, and those go on easily. But none of those are clear-coated. And I think that's the difference. I think the clear coating is part of the problem. If it's put on too heavy, I think it doesn't come off of the decal paper as well. That's just a theory, and your mileage may vary. But I'm going to be very cautious about where I get decals in the future. Here I got out a set of Bic pens, Bic color pens that I've had for a while, and decided to use them on the interior of this. I went with the blue for the nitrous tank, that goldish brashish color for the connector, then the silver for the shift and the steering wheel and gauge cluster, and there's a gauge up on the dash. Off camera, I used some Army Painter red paint and a toothpick. And I paint in the seat belts on this thing. And then I used the silver for the buckles on that as well. I thought about using license plate, no, seatbelt decals. But the seatbelts were raised enough on this that I thought they'd be easy to paint, and they actually really were. It was easier than putting decals down. So I'm glad that I went that route. The nice thing about using something like the Army Painter or the Citadel paints or even some of the Vallejo paints is that they're water-based, and so if you need to clean it off of there, you can if you screw it up. So I thought it was worth taking a shot on the seatbelts, and I couldn't be happier. After this was finished, I do go over it with a matte clear. The base I left gray, and I did pick out some of the details. Oops! Gauzy. A little out of sync with the tapping there, I know. The glass was good as well. Cleaned it up a little bit, but dipped it in gauzy, and we're good to go. But back to painting the seat belts. That's the nice thing about using some of those paints is you can give it a try. If you don't like it, just wash it off. Again, I did not paint a base coat down on the interior. It was black already, so I just left it black. The base was the silverish gray that a lot of bases on Hot Wheels are, the plastic bases. Left that without a base coat. Did pick out silver details on that. And you'll see that coming up here in a little bit. I do end up doing a wheel swap on this, as you'll see in a second, once I'm through wicking off the excess gauzy. You may see some splashing of the gauzy down there on the bench. This was a tough build. I spilled some gauzy when I was using it. I spilled some micro set when I was using that. I'm just getting even older and clumsier. It's scary. But I do think it might be time for me to order another jar of gauzy. I haven't ordered one for a long time. I did just notice I have a lot of JB Weld sitting around, so when I use that, I've got that covered for a while. On this, I did end up just cutting small little beads of axle tube. I cut 2 beads. One for the front axle, one for the back axle. There you see the first bead that I cut. And again, it's just a real small little bead out of the axle tubing because I'm keeping the original axles of those replacement wheels that I ended up using. Those are from a Hot Wheels Real Riders set of wheels. I just love the look of those wheels. And there you see once I have both beads cut, if it focuses here. There you go. So they're small. They fit the axle perfectly. And then I just needed to cut the axle down to size. One of the nice things about the Real Rider sets is the axles on them are very long. They're almost always longer than what you're going to need. And so then shortening them in this way works really well. There I'm using the ball bearing trick to keep that axle pushed in on the other side of the wheel. And I thought I had nipped enough off of there, but I hadn't, so I needed to shorten the axle just a little bit more. And then all I do, you'll see me throw the ball bearing back in there. There you can see I didn't paint the base a different color like I was mentioning. And then I just fit, I don't need to keep it in there because I can take the axle off. So it's just checking the size. And this is basically, when you're really lucky doing these, is when you can drop the axle into it as opposed to having an axle tube in place. It just makes it even easier to fit and to do this with. Slide that small bearing onto the axle, get the CA glue out. See? And then just put a little CA glue on the end of the axle and then pull that bead onto the CA glue to get it positioned where you want it. I like using a toothpick sometimes to just push it to the end. And then I'll slide the wheel out to position it a little bit better. And just slide the wheel back out of the way and let that set. And it sets up, really quickly. You don't need to hit it with accelerator or anything like that. So now we're ready to assemble it. You can kind of see the red seat belts there if you look closely. Here's the base where I did a little bit of the detailing. Thrilled with how the paint turned out. That's color shot clear over everything. Well, over the body, over the decals. It was color shot clear that I used also before putting the decals on to make sure it was going on a gloss surface. Here this might look a little goofy, but I'm just putting those axles in place and I'm just using the handle of a set of pliers there to just push those plastic fingers or whatever you want to call it, the plastic tabs, down a little bit. Really just making the assembly a little bit easier. And we flip it over and put everything in place. I'm not sure why I thought I was going to be using a washer on the front post of this, but I have the screwdriver set up back there with the 256 screw already and a washer on it. And as you'll see here in a minute, when I go to put this together, I didn't need that washer. And with the washer in place, I wasn't able to get the screw to bite. So I ended up just taking the washer off of there. Yeah, see, I could spin that forever and it's not gonna go. It's like, wait a second, let's get rid of that. I'll throw this on the back post. And then I'll reevaluate the front post if I really needed a washer or not. I didn't. And so I looked at it here and I was like, nah, I'm not going to bother. So I throw the front screw in and we're good to go. I'm really happy with how this turned out. There's just something about those little cars that are fun. And, you'll probably see me do more of them because I really do enjoy them. So here's the casting that we started with. Like I said before, brand new casting. It's not that bad. It's not like the livery's terrible. Probably with a little detail it would have been fine. Sometimes it's a bit much though, And so here's what I ended up with. I think the wheels make a world of difference. I love the dark color. Love the second chance included a license plate for the back that said Plum Fizz, California plate. So there you have it. That's how this one turned out. These little cars are a blast. Anyhow, I hope you like this build. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. It's free. And like, share, and subscribe, as they say. Here's the glamour shots. Everyone, thanks for watching this video. Stay safe and healthy out there. I'll catch you in the next one.